This is the most controlling woman I have ever seen. Just to win back her ex-boyfriend, the sculptor Xiaowen even chopped off Away's legs, then hung his arms up with ropes, leaving half his body lying on the table. Looking from afar like a strange twisted pose, she clamped the base of his thighs with iron rings, then tightened the screws to lock them in. His whole body had nothing covering it, just wrapped in a thin white cloth. Away tried to break free, but his wounds tore open instantly, causing unbearable pain. How could a normal person end up like this? Xiaowen explained that the three of them had a car accident on their trip. Away's current girlfriend died on the spot. Only the two of them managed to survive. Then why am I not in the hospital? You actually recovered a long time ago, but you can't accept the truth. And the hospital can't help you either, but it's fine, I'll take care of you for life. I still don't know how to deal with your basic needs, but Xiaowen never once forgot his meals. Speaking of meals, she used a spoon to feed him bit by bit, putting every bite directly into his mouth. At first Away refused to cooperate, he even spit all over Xiaowen's face. To teach him a lesson, Xiaowen grabbed her carving knife, scraping him until his whole body was covered with cuts. Away was terrified, so he forced himself to swallow the food. Seeing the man she loved in such misery, Xiaowen, who was soft-hearted, started gently applying medicine on him as if fixing her most precious artwork. She also cleaned his wound so he wouldn't die from infection. Under Xiaowen's meticulous care, Away's body slowly recovered. His 8-pack abs even became visible. Sometimes Xiaowen couldn't resist leaning closer. She ignored his protests and unwrapped the bandages layer by layer. His body reacted instinctively. Away immediately stiffened up, and Xiaowen kneeled collapse pose. A few minutes later, Xiaowen wrapped new bandages around Away, then left with a satisfied look. Using his brief moment of clarity, Away came up with an escape plan. He stopped resisting Xiaowen and instead praised her cooking, saying the dinner tasted great. Xiaowen was over the moon. Turns out keeping a man isn't about chopping his legs off, it's about winning his stomach. Away then made a new request. He hoped Xiaowen would cook noodles for him. When the steaming beef noodles were brought to his mouth, Away asked her to untie his hands, saying it was too troublesome to eat like this. After all, if he kept hanging like that any longer, he might as well join the Olympic rings competition. Could this be a man's trick? Xiaowen wasn't stupid. After thinking twice, she decided to loosen the ropes. Since Away had no legs left, he couldn't run anyway. She felt she could trust him once more. With his upper body finally freed, Away didn't do anything reckless. He just ate his noodles quietly while chatting with her. During their talk, Away said her hair was messy and asked if she wanted him to comb it. Xiaowen was moved to tears. They used to do this all the time before breaking up. I'll go up first. Good night. In fact, combing her hair was the first step of Away's escape, because Xiaowen had serious hair loss and every combing session left behind a bunch of hair. After collecting enough hair, Away said he hadn't had chicken soup in a long time. Xiaowen, who granted every request, quickly cooked sesame oil chicken. Away spat out the chicken bones and hid them in the folds of the bandages, then twisted thousands of hair strands into one long cord, tying a chicken bone to the front end. Using this 1,000-strand rope, Away tossed it again and again toward the toolbox, trying to hook a screwdriver over. If it didn't work once, he tried twice. Away became a fisherman in desperation. After hundreds of attempts, he finally succeeded. The screwdriver rolled under him and Away bent down desperately. His wound tore open again and blood gushed from his thigh. After grabbing the screwdriver, Away bit onto the bandages and slowly twisted the screws in reverse. Each screw was 5 centimeters long, all of them drilled into his flesh. The horror was imaginable. Luckily Xiaowen was out running errands. Even if he screamed his lungs out in the basement, no one would hear. Away fell to the floor like a zombie from Train to Busan, using his hands like feet to crawl toward the stairs. It was one small step for a normal person, but one giant leap for Away toward freedom. There was an infrared sensor on the stairs and surveillance cameras on the ceiling. Away knew if he didn't move faster, Xiaowen would rush back and kill him. Yet there was one thing he couldn't understand. Upstairs the room was filled with life-sized wooden statues, each one carved at a full 1-to-1 scale. While thinking this, Away had already crawled to the door. Unfortunately the lock still had a password, a double security system indeed. Jiwei, is that you? Jiwei, are you next door? Are you okay? I'm fine. Of course I'm fine. What nonsense are you talking about? I've been locked in Xiaowen's house for days. Come save me now. You were locked by Xiaowen. What do you mean? Are you joking with me? I'm not joking with you. Xiaowen is a lunatic. Call the police quick. But you left for work this morning. Wait for me, I'm heading over right now. There were two strange points in this conversation. One was that Xiaowen claimed Away's current girlfriend Yufan had died, so how could she be in the apartment next door? Second, Yufan said she sent Away to work this morning, meaning Away couldn't have been imprisoned for days. Just as Yufan was about to call the police, Xiaowen appeared behind her like a ghost. Why is Jiwei in your place? Open the door now. Jiwei is in my place. You must be mistaken, right? Yufan, don't listen to her. Run now. I'm opening the door. Yufan, hurry and run. Jiwei loves to joke around. Yufan looked a bit too naive, so she foolishly believed Xiaowen's words. Jiwei, how did you end up like this? Hurry, what are you doing? It was already too late to escape. The sharp awl slid straight into her skull. Yufan died instantly without a sound. No, it's fine. I can create her the same way I created you, Xiao Wen said, then dragged out a wooden statue from the corner. She put on a birdman mask and sliced Yufan's palm with a carving knife. After a few seconds, the statue had no reaction. Xiao Wen's face showed complete disbelief. Her resurrection magic had stopped working. Realizing she had killed someone, Xiao Wen skillfully grabbed a large sack and stuffed the body inside piece by piece. Suddenly Yufan's dropped phone started ringing. Xiao Wen panicked and swiped frantically until she finally turned it off. At that moment shouts were heard outside the door, threatening Xiao Wen to open up immediately. Xiao Wen grabbed Away off the floor and ripped out the nails by force. Trying to move him somewhere else, the man who burst in didn't just look similar to Away, he looked exactly identical, and this was the real Away. Back in their university days, Xiao Wen and Away were truly a perfect couple, but as time passed, Away discovered Xiao Wen had a terrifying perfectionist obsession, a sculpture piece shaped like a potted plant. After adjusting it hundreds of times, Xiao Wen finally finished it. But Away said plants are alive, they change every moment, sculptures are dead and have no soul. Xiao Wen's face turned dark and she smashed the sculpture instantly. How about now? Is my statue perfect enough? This one has a soul, this one is alive. Later Away found an injured Hakimi on campus. At first Xiao Wen used her skills and hand made a support frame, helping Hakimi walk again. Their relationship seemed to progress. Away even swore under a tree that he would love Xiao Wen for life. I feel like I will love you forever, I promise. But 1 year later, a pretty junior girl started showing interest in Away. She walked over to ask about Hakimi's recovery. Xiao Wen happened to witness this scene. She smashed a cup and stormed off without hesitation. Away felt Xiao Wen was getting paranoid, acting unreasonable and not cute at all. Back then when they first dated, he called her his sweet girl, but once he stopped loving her, he called her crazy lady. What happened to the promise of loving me forever? So while Away went to play basketball, Xiao Wen set the wishing tree on fire, turning it into a huge campus incident. She even mailed an anonymous package. Inside was a replica sculpture of the wishing tree with 2 bold words carved underneath, "Perfect Oath." Anyone could tell this mocking gift came from Xiao Wen. Away rushed to apologize to her and asked where Hakimi had gone. Xiao Wen didn't answer. Instead she pulled out a life-sized statue of Hakimi. Away felt chills run through his scalp in that moment. It became clear Xiao Wen was jealous of the junior girl and killed Hakimi out of spite. This serious animal abuse incident ended their relationship for good. After graduation, Xiao Wen still couldn't forget Away. She specially carved a wooden statue of Away as a way to ease her longing for him. One early morning, she was woken up by strange noises next door. Young couples really do have endless energy. Xiao Wen knocked on the door wanting an explanation, but froze right at the doorway the moment it opened. What a coincidence for such a small place like Taiwan. The neighbor who moved in just yesterday turned out to be Away and his current girlfriend Yufan. My god, talk about unbelievable coincidence. We just changed to a new job recently and we only moved in yesterday. Sorry if we were too loud. We'll try to be quieter. It's alright really. The most awkward thing in the world is running into your ex over and over, every day. She still had to see Away and Yufan being all lovey-dovey. That feeling was pure torture. As for Away's attitude, he thought Xiao Wen was a complete psycho and believed getting back together was impossible. Don't you have anything you want to say to me, new neighbor? There's really nothing left for us to talk about. What does it feel like when your ex lives right next door? The walls are kinda thin, burned with jealousy. Xiao Wen remembered an old saying about drilling through the wall for light, meaning you drill a tiny hole through a thin wall, and you can secretly peek at your ex-boyfriend's good body. Anyone who has peeked before knows doing that only makes the jealousy worse. Over there, Yufan held the warm living Away. Over here, Xiao Wen could only hold a cold wooden statue. The difference was just too cruel. What made it worse was that Away also noticed the hole in the wall. Usually people do these things quietly, but Away insisted on provoking Xiao Wen. You saw it right. I heard it actually. Didn't expect Yufan to be that wild, huh? The soundproofing here is really terrible. You still have that potted plant, right? That plant is still there, isn't it? The so-called soul you talk about, all of it is fake. No matter how well you carve it, it will never become real. Away's words struck Xiao Wen deeply. Fake things will never turn real. It echoed endlessly in her mind. She had to figure out another way. In an article about urban supernatural tales, many of you have probably seen it online, Xiao Wen learned that there was a mysterious birdmen group on Alishan. They claimed they could communicate with the dead through ancestral spirits. Xiao Wen immediately signed up. During a nighttime ritual, she witnessed something unbelievable. The leader raised a trained eagle, then used its blood to summon dark magic, turning a wooden statue into a divine bird flying into the sky. Soon, dozens of spirits appeared, hugging their loved ones in tears. Unexpectedly, the leader drew his bow and shot 3 arrows in a row. The divine bird fell instantly. When Xiao Wen woke up, she was told she had been chosen by the ancestral spirits. She received the same birdman mask, but the leader sternly warned her, having spiritual talent doesn't mean you can do foolish things. Why not? I have someone I love, and the one I love is still alive, so I should win him back in another way. If Xiao Wen were someone who listened, she would never have lost Wei in the first place. Back home, Xiao Wen started planning her next move. Simply put, she wanted to transfer Wei's soul into a wooden statue. If she couldn't have the original, a replica would do just fine. First, she invited Wei over. She deliberately poured coffee into a rough wooden cup. The splinters poked Wei's hand. Xiao Wen smelled the blood like a mosquito and pounced on him. You can't marry her. Stop bothering us already, will you? I've had enough of you. I think you are annoying. Let's stop hurting each other, please. I don't want to. Let me go. What on earth are you doing? If you leave, I'll do something stupid. That stupid thing she meant was step 2 of her soul-shifting ritual. Even though the movie didn't say it clearly, judging from the failed carvings thrown away, Xiao Wen must have recreated many versions of Wei using blood, and only the most recent one survived. To make it easier, let's call that wooden replica Weiga. So what was the real Wei doing? He was preparing a huge surprise for Yufan. He proposed to her in front of all their cheering friends. But days later when he came home from work, Yufan wasn't there and her phone was ringing from next door. Wei peeked through a vent and saw Xiao Wen acting strange. He broke the lock immediately and saw Xiao Wen with another version of himself. Yufan's lifeless body stuffed inside a sack. At that moment, Xiao Wen had only one thought. Since Yufan was dead, she no longer posed a threat, so Wei would come back to her. The replica no longer had any value, so Xiao Wen framed Weiga, saying Weiga killed Yufan. Weiga refused to take the blame and spilled the truth. Look, he's just a failed copy of you. After knocking Weiga out, Xiao Wen realized the real reason the magic worked. She could recreate Wei because she loved him. She couldn't recreate Yufan because she hated her. Hearing this, Wei snapped and tried to strangle Xiao Wen. Xiao Wen's face turned purple. One more second and she would have died. Then a sudden slicing sound clanged. Weiga woke up and stabbed Wei straight through the neck. Wei was dead. Now there's only me left. I am your most perfect creation. And he wasn't wrong. When Wei died, Weiga became the only one left. Xiao Wen completely lost her mind. She hugged Weiga and they started kissing wildly. After the chaos settled, Xiao Wen's sculpture exhibition themed The Creation Prison opened successfully. Don't ask me how she escaped the murder investigation. Think about it, she already mastered dark magic, so this was nothing. Handling 2 bodies should be easy for her. Xiao Wen and the replica started living what they called a happy life. After Weiga got prosthetic legs installed, he could go to the park. He could even take over Wei's identity and easily pass an interview to get a decent job. But Weiga still felt uneasy inside. He often sneaked out of bed at night, standing before the mirror fixing his hair, turning himself into Wei's look again. If you still remember the earlier events, then Xiao Wen being pregnant now makes perfect sense. Weiga even prepared a sweet proposal setup, using the wishing tree sculpture as a gift and officially proposed to Xiao Wen. From the fleeting smile on his face, it wasn't hard to see Weiga had something else in mind. Soon the day of the pregnancy check arrived. The two of them went to the hospital. The doctor scanned for a long time then announced regretfully, there was no heartbeat and they had to terminate early. But the shocking news was that what they removed was a small bloody wooden lump. This huge shock threw Xiao Wen into postpartum depression, and right then Weiga dropped his act. I never loved you. I actually hate you a lot. I have always hated you. Shut up. I can't keep pretending to be that person anymore. Before the words faded, Weiga turned a knife and killed himself. Xiao Wen held the body crying and called the police. The strange thing was when the police and paramedics arrived, there was only a crooked wooden statue. Xiao Wen had disappeared, and there was a mysterious black box in her place. The first story of Black Box ends here. From the earlier clues, the black box seemed to belong to the masked man from the parking lot. Back then he approached Xiao Wen with a deal. Sell me all your future time. Name your price. I can buy it all. Xiao Wen thought he was insane. She refused and walked away. If you want to know the final answer, then remember to like and follow. Black Box still has 3 more stories left. I'll see you next time with the next story.